Hello everybody and welcome again to Rea's Tech Reviews. So RGB is a thing that's a big trend these days. If you don't have RGB, your gaming setup isn't as cool as your friends. So everybody is tending towards RGB. Now, something that hasn't got RGB so much in the past was mousepads, because who would have thought that you would have gotten RGB in mousepads? There's RGB keyboards, RGB mice, RGB headsets, like these even. But RGB mousepads is something that's, I think it's getting towards the point where it's a thing now. And in the past, RGB mousepads was super expensive, but now we're gonna see how this new Fantech RGB mousepad is gonna add up towards the RGB scene, and see if RGB is really necessary. So let's get into the review, guys. Let's start with the unboxing of the Fantech Firefly Mpr800 RGB cloth mousepad. Now that's quite a mouthful, but let's see if this RGB mousepad is really something to consider. Now, if you look at the box, again, it's the standard Fantech packaging. They do give you here a hole where you can feel the mousepad and just have a feel for if you like the cloth material. Then you'll see here it just says the mousepad specs. It's the extended version, and you also have here your specs of the mousepad, which says RGB spectrum mode, optimized for all sensitivity settings, non-slip rubber base, RGB illuminating edge, and breathable cloth surface. So it looks good. Let's get to the unboxing. So let's start. So there you have your mouse pad. You get a braided cable that's detachable. That's actually quite cool. And then you get your mouse pad instruction manual. So let's get to this review straight ahead. So you live in South Africa and want great gaming products at great prices? Then look no farther than jam.co.za. Here you can find some of the top quality gaming products that's to offer in South Africa at very affordable prices. They also have all the Fantech ranges here, as they are the sole supplier of Fantech in South Africa. They also have amazing mouse pads that you can find, which is very uniquely designed. Have a look at their website. Now, like I said in the intro, RGB is something that's become more of a trend these days, and most of the game setups is incomplete without that RGB spectrum. So I feel that RGB is really, for me, I do like the RGB because I like the lights of the setup. It's not going to improve your gameplay at all, RGB, so it's not a game changer, but the look aspects of it, or the aesthetics aspects of it, is what really intrigues people into buying RGB, because it just looks very nice when you have that in your setup. So with this said, let's go to this RGB mousepad. Now it's not plugged in yet, so it's something I want to show you with the review starters. One thing I do like about this Fantech mousepad is that the whole control box of the RGB lights is on the left top hand corner of the mousepad, as you can see here. And it's also a detachable cable, so which means is that if you want to pack your mousepad and you don't really like, or you don't care about the RGB lights, for instance, and you go to a LAN event or something, you can just detach it, roll it up, and you can take it with you, which is actually a good feature. Whereas most of the other RGB mousepads, you don't have that feature of the detachable cable. So it's something I like, and the placement of where this control box of the RGB lighting of this mousepad is very, it's also very good located, because on the top left hand side you're not really going to get your mouse cable tangled in this, because this is most probably the side where you're going to put your keyboard. So that's a plus point for the mouse pad. The second thing of the mouse pad is that it's a huge mouse pad. You'll see the Firefly, it's really huge, so you have so much possibilities of your gameplay on this. You can either put your keyboard on the one side and your mouse on the other, or you can use more mouse pad for your mouse and just have your keyboard on the small end of it. So it does have the ability to give you quite a big extension in your gameplay. So I feel that's a good plus point, as most RGB mouse pads are only like, I think, this size. So compared to that, I think the mouse pad is really big, and that's a good plus point for Fantech. The other thing about this mousepad that I really like is the cloth material. It's very soft, but it's very grippy as well. So I feel for a mouse, for instance, if I just take this mouse here, the mouse glides very good on this. So you do feel that the mouse glides on it as it should, and it's also that is enough grip that your mouse just won't slip on it. So I feel the design of this cloth is very good, and I personally prefer this type of cloth for my gaming. And to be honest, I did switch to this mouse pad for myself for gaming, and I'm very comfortable with it, and I do enjoy the mouse pad. Now, like I said, the RGB is detachable, or the cable is detachable, so you can turn off the RGB if you want to, like that. And also you'll see that you have a button here on the control box that you can control your RGB lighting. What I do like about this mouse pad, and also it's something that's different for me to other mouse pads that's RGB, is that with this mouse pad, the RGB is actually on the side of the mouse pad. So you'll see here that the RGB is linked on the side, which means that there's no RGB lighting on top, which means that you won't really have that hard edge that your mouse will get stuck on, but it has that edging, which is quite nice. So it gives you that infinity look on the sides, and it won't let your mouse get tangled. And also it is very nicely tucked in there, so it won't really go anywhere, and your mouse pad won't get any hooks and scratches there at the top. So let's plug this baby in and see how it looks like. Okay, so there we have the mouse pad plugged in. As you can see, the lighting, it looks very nice on the edges of the mouse pad, and when it's on you can even flip it over, which is nice. It's a soft cloth, very comfortable mouse pad. So with this regard to the mouse pad, I must say that it's really good to have an RGB mouse pad that's foldable, that's bendable, and that's durable. And you know at least that your RGB lighting you can take everywhere with you, because you can just pack it up and go. Whereas with other RGB mouse pads, you had that hard center, because most of them had a plasticky feel at the back, or a plastic cover at the back, just to protect the mouse pad and the RGB lights that fit in, compared to the SteelSeries one, for instance, that I'll just show you to you a bit later. But with this one, it's very comfortable. You can pack it up and go. You can roll it up anywhere, and you can take it to your LAN events or to your offline events, wherever you go. So that's one thing I do like about the mouse pad. Now let's talk about the RGB. You have that button here where you can change through your RGB colors. So you have the option of let's start. You have the option of solid colors, like there's a solid green, a solid blue, solid pink, solid light blue, solid yellow, solid white. This is a run through color I see, where it will run through your a breathe effect of the colors. Basically, I see it breathes through all the colors, so it breathes pink and blue and green and yellow and red. And then you have this one, which is the spectrum mode, I would say, where the RGB runs through on the mouse pad in the different colors. So you'll see it jumps through the green, red, blue, yellow. So this looks quite nice, and this is the color I would prefer. This is just an RGB run through as well, just a bit slower than the previous one, so it also looks very good. And as you can see, it does light up on all the edges of the mouse pad. So yeah, the lighting is not the brightest, I would say, if you compare it to other RGB mouse pads. So it's not really the brightest of lights, but again, for this RGB feature that you have, it's going to be a lot more brighter than the RGB pads that's showing and shining to the top, because this you can actually like put it against the table and it will have a reflection effect. So I do feel this is more prettier, and I do really like what they did with the lighting. And to be honest with you guys, I would definitely say that for RGB mouse pads, this is the one that I would buy for me, because I have been through a few RGB mouse pads, as I am an RGB freak. As I said, let's just compare this RGB mousepad to, for instance, the SteelSeries Quick Prism RGB mousepad. Now, first of all, I know SteelSeries does have other mousepads. They do now have the Quick Prism cloth versions available as well. For instance, the SteelSeries cloth version that looks similar to this one, but has the cloth and not this hard edge at the bottom, retails for 800 Rand. And the bigger one that's similar to the Fantech size retails for 1,200 Rand in South Africa. So just take that into perspective, not like I'm comparing because it's SteelSeries and Fantech, but just to give you a price comparison. This RGB mousepad is only 499 Rand in South Africa. Now, number one, this one here is 750 Rand in South Africa. So just to compare these two, size comparison already, you'll see that the Firefly is much bigger than the SteelSeries just by size alone. And then, like I said, you do have the ability to fold it and take it everywhere. Whereas with the SteelSeries one that was here, you had that hard surface at the bottom. So you couldn't really pack it up. It's not bendable, it's just there, and the mouse pad itself, yes, you can remove that and you can just use this mouse pad, but you don't really have that feature of packing it up and going anywhere with it. And the cable was not detachable at all. If you look at the cable here of the SteelSeries, it's entwined into the control box here. You have your control box and it's detachable, so you can just remove that cable and take it anywhere you want. So just so you can have an idea of how big this mouse pad actually really is. It's an astonishingly big mouse pad, and like I said, the RGB features that's on the side and the mouse pad itself, that's cloth material, it's just super cool. Now, like I said, gameplay on this mouse pad is very comfortable. The mouse literally fits to the mouse pad perfectly, so it feels as if it just glides as it should. And as I say, gaming on this mouse pad is very nice. The mouse responds to your movement very easily, so there's no drag on the mouse pad, and I do feel that that's a very good plus point. So it's very comfortable. Your hand really where it rests on the mouse pad as well. It's very soft and it just looks beautiful. I mean, look at this when you compare it to the Thor Fantech mouse, for instance, with the mouse pad. It's just a very good combination. The grip of this Firefly mousepad is really good. When you put it on your table, the grip is of such quality that your mousepad will not move around at all. It's really sturdy, it's stuck to the table, and it has a very good rubber undercloth which will really keep your Firefly mousepad just where it is. In my opinion, this is probably one of the best RGB mousepads out there, and for the price of only 499 Rand on Jam's website in South Africa, I mean, you're not going to get another RGB mousepad for that price in that range at all. So definitely, in my opinion, I would go for this mousepad if you're into RGB. Again, if RGB is not your thing, then there is other mousepads you can consider, and I know Fantech does have other mousepads that does not have the RGB. But if RGB is your thing and you want that RGB setup of yours looking very nicely, do consider getting a mousepad like this, because I do feel that this mousepad is insanely good. And like I said, there's no much more I can say. I love it. This mousepad is great and I would recommend it. So, overall verdict is get this mousepad if you're into RGB mousepads, because you're not going to get a better mousepad for this price. And yeah, so I would recommend it. And then just want to say thank you to all you guys for tuning in. We do appreciate all your support. If you do like our content and our videos, please like, subscribe and comment. Also, be sure to put that bell icon onto YouTube that you get notified when we do have new videos coming away. And also, please go and support all our other social media channels. It's REA's Esports. You would find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also on Twitch. So go and support us, and please do give suggestions if you think there's anything we can do better for you guys, or if you feel that there's something that you would like to see we do more. So thanks for your support, guys, and again, go and buy yourself this RGB mousepad. You won't regret it.